everyone. Here I am for our Facebook Live today regarding gardening from my backyard. Today being Wednesday, and I happen to be off too, that I thought I would actually share this live from my backyard. I mean, I love my backyard. I have some wind chimes here. I'm guessing you could hear it too. They're beautiful. It's such beautiful weather now that we have. Couldn't ask for anything more, anything better. Everything is green. Everything is beautiful now. So I hope that you are in your backyard, in your garden, doing some amount of gardening, if nothing. So I actually also wanted to talk to you about today regarding our next week's webinar. If you haven't signed up for it, don't miss it. It's going to be really informative. We're going to talk about all kinds of things about health, and we're also going to have a Q&A at the end of the webinar. So bring all your questions and go to our event page if you haven't signed up for it, and go ahead and reserve your spot so we can send you the registration link for it. And so because of that, we will not really have our Facebook Live next week because it's going to be at 5 p.m. our webinar. So we won't have the Facebook Live next Wednesday at 4:15. Just something that I wanted to share with you. Thanks again for joining me today. That's my oak tree right back there. It's a big one, and provides us with some of the shade and beautiful breeze, and you can hear my wind chimes going. So definitely it helps with all of those things. Creates the ambiance. So I kind of wanted to talk about, I've actually noticed that there's a lot of action going on right now behind me. There's birds and all kinds of things right now. So I kind of wanted to talk about our immune system and what we could do when in the backyard. So I've had a lot of patients, especially mothers or fathers who have children who get sick often. And when they get sick often, they don't want their children to go out. They don't want their children to mingle with other kids. They don't want them to go in the mud, in the dirt. They don't want them to walk barefoot, and so on and so forth. And this is really a disservice that we are doing to our kids. The way our immune system works is, it works by collecting bacteria over a period of time, or viruses and other microorganisms. It's collecting all of these different ones in order for it to function optimally. So which means that we want to collect them. So if you have children, encourage them to go in the backyard, even barefoot, so that they can actually collect these microorganisms that are going to be very beneficial for them, for their health, for their immune system. So it's going to be very helpful in that way. And of course, getting their hands dirty, right? Doing gardening, give them some sort of a pet plant, if you will, so they can raise that plant. It gives them a responsibility to a life that they can grow, and also the beauty of nature, how it grows, and how we have the power to grow something. Especially here in Dallas, we really have not much excuse if we don't have a garden. It's actually almost something that we should be doing. It's our responsibility, not something that is just a hobby, but it's also something that's our responsibility. Why? Because we are all consuming every day. We are eating foods that we need to eat. So which means that we need to at least grow some part of our diet in our backyards, especially if you have the space. Definitely that's something that you should consider if you don't have a garden yet. I have spearmint. I have many varieties of spinach. I have basil, Thai basil, Italian basil. I have cucumbers, okra. I'm getting quite a bit of different types of squashes. So we're growing a lot of things in my backyard as well now, and it's so beautiful. It's actually very it connects you to nature. It emotionally and physically grounds you to nature, and it can be very therapeutic as well. And on top of that, when we actually dig in the dirt and so on and so forth, we can also get immune system boosting benefits. So there are quite a bit of benefits that we get from it. And of course, if you are raising an organic garden, there is nothing like it, because you are actually going to bring something fresh from your garden and eat it the same day or the next day. And there's nothing like it. The nutrition content in it is going to be intact, and it's not traveling hundreds or thousands of miles before it gets to you, and doesn't get refrigerated for 10-15 days before it gets to you, and then you refrigerate it for many more days before you eat it. Naturally, every day as it passes, the nutrient content in it starts degrading, and that's how it works. Anything as it takes time, it's actually going to not have the same nutrient content it did before, because heat, many different factors actually degrades the nutrient content. Heat is one of them for sure. And we don't really want to do that, So the other day I was actually making something with spearmint, and I cut up a lot of spearmint, or rather, pinched a lot of spearmint off my garden and put it in a bowl and left to yoga. And while I was doing yoga, every time my hands would come near my nose, I would smell that. And there is really no replacement for that. And even today we had to pick some spearmint, and it was just so aromatic, and there is literally no you cannot even compare that with the store-bought ones. You just can't, because when we don't really have any spearmint, we are buying them, and I can tell you for sure that it's not the same at all. And the same is true for cilantro or any of the spinach that we get. We literally pick it, and then it goes right into our food. There is literally no replacement for that. And when you are actually making something, right, when you're growing something and you can actually make something out of that, it also gives us fulfillment. It gives us health in the process, of course, and we are also becoming more and more responsible for what we do. And of course, I have an organic garden. I don't really put any kind of weed killers, pesticides, fertilizers. Everything that goes into our soil is natural, organic, compost, manure, and so on and so forth. We don't really put anything that's chemical, because of course, if it is in my soil, even if it's in our grass, it's actually going to get, it's like literally the ecosystem, they are like one living being. It's not one place, another place, and so on and so forth. Of course, I can't really say that is true for my neighbors and so on and so forth. They probably are doing that. And is it affecting my soil? Probably. The only thing I could do is I can actually make sure that my environment is clean and pristine as much as I could. And of course, that means that my food doesn't have any pesticides in it, at least the ones that I grow. It doesn't have any fertilizers in it that can actually affect the soil. And if that is the case, then what I'm eating is truly organic, as much as I could control, right? So if that is the case, then my immune system is not bombarded by pest killers. They are poisons pretty much. If there are no poisons in my food, then naturally my immune system doesn't have to work hard at that. Now my body can actually absorb all the nutrients from the foods I'm eating, and we get the most benefit from it. And of course, my immune system and my family's immune system is going to be much happier as well. So there are plenty of things that we can grow here. We can grow all kinds of greens, which are definitely one of the top nutrient that I often talk about whenever we talk about immune system and what we can do with it. And this is also an opportunity for you to teach your children how to raise something, because this is another thing that we often have, right? People always think that when they come to us after suffering from a disease for maybe 2, 3, 5 years even, or 10, even lifelong, they want to get better like that. And of course I understand that. But that is our mind, our reptilian brain that says that, we want things done quickly. But if you think about it in nature, you put a seed, it takes 1, 2, 3 weeks sometimes for it to even sprout a little bit. And then it takes, a little bit more time, It's a fruit. It takes probably 3 years for a tree to fruit. And if it's an annual, it takes at least, 45 days to 60 days, or even up to 3 or 4 months in order for it to start producing vegetables or greens and so on and so forth. So we are impatient, in the way we want things to be done, but nature isn't. Nature is very patient, and our children can absolutely learn that by taking care of a plant or gardening with you, because it teaches us how we need to be patient. And of course, once we are patient, we get a bountiful harvest. So it does pay off. But we need patience, and this is another analogy that I often use. Nothing comes in nature that quickly, and we are the only ones who think that everything has to be quick, quick fix. Nutrition, shortcuts for nutrition or shortcuts for health, putting a band-aid on things and so on and so forth. But in nature, that's not how it works. You can't really put a band-aid, you can't just make a plant grow overnight. You just can't do any of those things. Everything takes its sweet time, but it's totally worth it. And so if you don't have a garden right now, start small, maybe just pots or maybe a raised bed, anything that would do, and start with the simplest of, the easiest vegetable or easiest plant that you can grow. And believe me, I used to be a person who, at least I claimed, that I had a black thumb, not even a brown thumb, a black thumb, because I couldn't even keep an aloe vera plant alive. My friend gifted me an aloe vera plant and I killed it. And don't ask me how, I don't know. I killed that too. But then if I'm able to actually have a garden, if I'm able to grow something, you can do it too. So take this opportunity this summer, especially now that we have been home for such a long period of time, getting out in your backyard. Even if you have allergies, believe me, you really want to get out even if you have allergies, because this is an opportunity for us to expose ourselves and adapt to so many of these allergens. And of course, if you suffer from allergies, then you need to come to our office and get treated so that you don't suffer from allergies when you go out in your backyard, because that shouldn't be a thing. And that way you are actually strengthening your immune system. Let your immune system adapt to the pollen and grass and weed and so on and so forth, so that your body doesn't react anymore over a period of time, and you become much more stronger when you do that. So take up this as a hobby and get out, get moving. Gardening is another opportunity to exercise as well, so you can move, you can get your lymphatic system moving a little bit better, and teach your kids that nothing comes easily. Everything takes effort, everything takes patience, and they can actually see nature at work live. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, it was a very short one. I just wanted to bring you into our garden, and I want to talk about this because it's not really something that a lot of people think of as something that is good for their health, and it really is. Okay, so if you have no questions, I hope to see you guys on our webinar next Wednesday, June 3rd at 5 p.m. Central Time, and I will see you then. And I'm just so looking forward to it. I'm just so excited about it. Oh no, I missed today's. That's okay, Kiran. You can watch the video. It is recorded, so you would be able to watch the video of that. It's more about gardening. So welcome, Kiran. So don't miss the webinar, and we are going to bring so much of information. I'm just so pumped to bring that information to you, and I'm going to actually give you so much there, and I hope that you benefit from that and you actually take it and use it and help your family as well, be as well as I keep my family. Okay, so see you guys in a couple weeks on Facebook Live, and see you next week on our webinar. Thank you for joining. Have a good one. Enjoy the weather. Stay well. Bye.